Hello everyone, and we're gonna try to make the light a little bit better. Is this better? I think so. I've tried to record this Q&A video like 3 different times, and every time I was losing my thoughts or I was really like going from topic to topic. So here I am again. And this time I'm prepared because I wrote my answers more or less. So hopefully this is the last time I'm recording it and I will be able to publish it. So I hope you're watching this version right now. Let's just do it, shall we? Okay, so first question, I will divide it into like sections. So first one, we'll focus on working in Korea. There was a question. How did you find a job in there, being South Korea? So I used 4 websites mostly to find positions to apply to, and I was looking on LinkedIn, Saramin, Cowork, and Remwork, those 4. And if I remember correctly, I actually found my position on Saramin. And some offers were in English, some of them were in Korean, some of them were mixed. And I think I sent CVs both in English and in Korean. And then I also networked a lot because my job, so I worked in social media, in marketing, in visual production. I was working also as a producer on shoots. So I was looking in that creative field. So of course I also sent my portfolio. I found one offer that was also sponsoring a visa, because that's the biggest issue when looking for jobs in Korea. A lot of them don't want to sponsor visas or they just can't, which I will talk a little bit more soon. So that one was sponsoring a visa. And we had a meeting, an interview for the position. It was fully in Korean, so that was, honestly, I didn't really have high hopes. I was just like, okay, let me just test myself, and even if I can like explain myself in Korean. So that what happened, and then I got the position being offered to me. So I ended up working at that company for 3 months, and I didn't quit because there was also a question, why am I quitting? I didn't quit. So my initial contract was for 3 months to basically test the waters, both for me and for the company, to see if we are, a good match, because of course they also have to sponsor my visa. So they would be spending additional money, not only on the salary, but also on with the process of sponsoring the visa. And I didn't quit it. We just didn't extend the contract after the initial 3 months. Basically what happened, the biggest challenge was communication. As I mentioned, the interview was in Korean, but every now and then I would throw in like English words when I wasn't sure how to express myself in Korean. And they understood, like during the interview, there was no problem. So I was like, oh, okay. So like if every now and then I will use some English word, that's not going to be a problem. It was a little bit of a problem while working later. I struggled to express myself in Korean during business meetings. The also understanding of English of some employees was limited. So the communication was just difficult, that one thing. The other thing was that during the interview, we discussed that I would be responsible for the visual aspects of the marketing and branding. At the end, I ended up more of like influencer marketing, but also not very creative side. So I just think the company, when they interviewed me, we talked about one thing, and then once I joined, and actually started working, they realized, oh, we need someone to do those things. Like actually the things we talked during the interview, they're not that important, or we don't have to focus on them right now. We need to focus on this. And those things weren't really my expertise. So yeah, I think that what happened. It was just not working out. So we just decided, both me and the company were like, okay, let's let's just not extend the contract. And honestly, I don't regret. It was a good experience. I learned a lot. I also saw how the fashion brands are working, how the collection is being planned. So that was very interesting because I don't think I would ever have that kind of experience otherwise. But yeah, but on the longer run, I don't want to be influencer marketeer. I can do it if it's useful for the brand, and I feel like I have an eye for finding good connections. But yeah, I want to do something else. There were also like some other just general questions about the differences when it comes to work culture in Korea and Europe. So before coming to Korea, I was working in the Netherlands for 3 years almost. I think the biggest difference are working hours. Because of course sometimes there were cases when I would have to like work a little bit longer in the Netherlands, do some extra hours because it was like special project or it was very important project. Deadlines were rushing, happens, right? But most of the time, like, you know, you come to the office 9:30, 10 a.m., you do your stuff, 6:30 you leave. In Korea, I would get to the office at 9:30 a.m. There was an hour long break from 12:30 to 1:30. Most of the time I would spend it by the computer. Not because I had to, but it was more of like pressure that like, hey, there are things that has to be done. So eat, but if you can eat and answer emails, please do. It's not like I was like, Julia, sit here and do, like you cannot leave for lunch break. My manager would also like very often even be like, Julia, why are you not out eating? Like this is your lunch break, like just turn off your computer. But at the same time, everybody else is, you know, sitting in front of the computers, they're eating. So I'm like, I don't really want it. I didn't want to play my foreigner card and be like, oh yeah, okay, then I'm just gonna go and eat. I don't know. I was during those 3 months, I of course tried to impress them and be like, hey, I'm a good employee, please sponsor my visa again. Yeah, so that's the biggest difference. And then I would sometimes leave work, well, sometimes quite often at 11 p.m, 10 p.m, because there were just things that you had to do, or they were kind of like expecting you to stay until you get them done, even though they could easily be done the next day. Could be the industry specific, could just be the vibe in the company. But overall, people were very nice. Like I don't have a bad thing to say about them. They were very sweet. We were getting vitamins from my manager. My boss would like get us bread, like a whole box of pastries, you know, for us to like just enjoy whenever, full of snacks, coffee. I was talking with my manager about K-pop idols that we like. So very nice people. But once work hits, it's work. And that line was very strongly drawn, which maybe I was also lucky in my previous companies in the Netherlands, and I think Netherlands is also quite, you know, chill country. But I felt like in Korea, it was very strict, that they felt the need to be very like, okay, now we're working. Right now, like, don't talk to me unless it's a serious business, and just kind of vibe. Even though once we went for coffee or lunch, they're like, oh, Julia, I can tell you. So, yeah. So working hours and work culture. And everybody was stressed all the time. Like I could feel that. I could feel the stress just building in the room. I'm also someone who feels the stress a lot from other people. Like if other people are stressed, I'm also feeling stressed because they're stressed. I'm like, I wish I could help them with the tasks. But then I felt like I'm adding onto their plates because I'm the foreigner and they have to double check my Korean emails. So that's it. Yeah. And now I will move to living in Korea because I was living there for 1.5 years. So that's quite a bit of time. I definitely experience more than just, you could experience during a trip as a tourist. So, first question. Do you see yourself staying in Korea permanently? I did see myself staying in Korea permanently, or at least long term, before getting the job. After experiencing the work culture, I'm a little bit like, I'm a little bit conflicted. Yeah, that's the word. I'm conflicted. Because I felt great during like studying there, doing some like side projects, great exchange. For a few more years, yes, I would love to go back and I would love to move to Korea again. Also because like I spent over a year learning Korean, so I don't want to now just be like, well, okay, bye. That's it. No, I don't want to speak Korean and I don't want to use it, and I want to work with Korean artists and directors and photographers. Yeah, there is a lot of things I want to do still in Korea. But yeah, long term, not permanently. I think that's the answer. And I see that I didn't take notes about Korean language. I've left for Korea to study Korean language a year and a half ago. And from all the language schools, because right now basically every university in Korea has also a language institute next to them, like that provides Korean language classes. I picked Seoul University. Main reason, they focus on speaking and daily conversations, which I loved, because right now, even though I know I make mistakes, I'm less afraid to make them, and I will just speak. Like it's just easier. Like I don't have that barrier that I think a lot of people who went, for example, to Yonsei have. Like I have friends who went to Yonsei, finished the entire 7 levels, and they would still, for example, order coffee in English. Even though they've been in Korea at this point for like almost 2 years, they finished the language school, they know the most complicated grammars, but they're just afraid to talk. So I'm very happy with Sogang. And for example, from Sogang, I have friends who are, Japanese or Taiwanese, and they don't really speak English. We would just converse in Korean. No problem with that. We both make mistakes, but we can understand each other, and that's what matters. And I think that what matters in every language, just communicate, like just speak. And even if you use like the basic grammar and basic words, no problem. Like as long as we can understand each other, that's what matters, right? So yeah. So I recommend. I'm very happy with Sogang. Of course, there is some level of self-study that you have to do, because you do have to study vocabulary, right? And you do have to read and revise, and sometimes maybe listen some stuff extra. But I think it's always for any language. If you really want to learn, you do have to self-study. But I think they give you a really good base at school, and the classes are fun. I really like the people that I've met there, so I recommend. Any advice for people learning Korean? Watch a lot of stuff, like to listen. K-dramas, Korean YouTubers, listen to songs, listen to podcasts, just absorb. And also once, for example, if you study at home, you study by yourself, or you're like living somewhere in the world, studying Korean, taking classes, and then you go to Korea, practice that Korean that you learned. Even if it's just as simple as ordering that coffee, order it in Korean. Like even if you mumble something, don't worry. Like they really appreciate that you're trying. People are always like, oh my god, your Korean is so good. Oh my god, where are you from? Oh my god, this is so sweet. You speak Korean. Oh my god, you're so good. So really only positive reactions. Even if I was like butchering the language, they were like, oh my god, you're so good. So they really know how to hype you up if you're trying. So just go and speak. That's my tip. Another question was, is it hard to be in Korea legally? Having residency card in Poland takes years to get. So yes, it is difficult. As I mentioned, the companies don't really want to hire because of the visa process or how complicated it is to get all the documentation right. There is also a law. If you want to hire one foreign employee, you need 5 Koreans. So For bigger companies, it's not really a problem. For smaller teams, the ratio is sometimes more difficult to get, especially that there is a lot of foreigners right now who speak good Korean and have graduated from like Korean university. So they also have good papers, right? And so it's just difficult. You see, I wrote notes and I'm still mumbling. Your options for staying long-term in Korea are student visa, so D2, which is the regular study full degree, or D4, that's language study. That was my visa for a year when I was going to language school at Seoul University. D10, that's a job seeker visa, but that one is points-based visa, which means you have to get a specific amount of points. So basically, most of the time, this visa is given also to people who graduated from Korean university and just need more time to find a job. But most of the time, those people like have also good level of Korean. Sometimes they're already married to Korean or something like that. Either way, points, and those points are quite difficult to obtain. I also had one company offering me that visa, D10, but I was just missing points. So I had to give up that other company. Another option is H1, which is working holiday. And that one is for a year. You cannot extend it. I mean, most of the countries has it for a year. The conditions vary a little bit. Some countries has it for 6 months. I think US has it up to 2 years. There are also requirements that like you have to have a certain amount of money on your bank account to be able to apply for that visa. But basically you can get it for a year and then you can legally work in Korea. But I think it's only 20 or 25 hours a week. So like basically part-time. You cannot do like full 40 hours a week because that one is working holiday. So you work, but you're also supposed to explore and enjoy Korea, hence the half-time. E6, that's entertainment industry visas. And that was my visa for the company I was working for the 3 months. Most of those visas I believe are for 3 months because entertainment projects, so shooting video, modeling, photography, stuff like that, those projects tend to be shorter, right? So usually 3 months to be in the country, that's enough to complete said projects. Of course, case by case, but basically working in entertainment industry, sometimes marketing positions. So my position was acknowledged by the embassy to be like, okay, it's in the entertainment sector to some extent, so okay, we're gonna give it to you for 3 months. So that what happened. Then the one that is the most difficult visa to get is F2, which means skilled professional. So basically work visa. And those are also points based, more complicated at D10, more points to get, more difficult criteria to pass through. So I didn't even look in details into that one. And F6, which is marriage visa. Again, I mean, yeah, you can. There are people who probably do that, but it is difficult to stay in Korea long term. Dating in Korea. Yeah. Dating in Korea, that's another thing, because you either see those cute love stories on TikTok, and like, oh my god, literally like princess, amazing, like the dream couple, dream relationship, and they may happen. Like, I'm not saying those are all lies. Like, people can have those relationships everywhere. The thing is, I don't want people to look at those couples or watch K-dramas and be like, oh, this is the standard, because it's not. It's exception. Don't go to Korea and be like, oh, I'm gonna have my K-pop oppa boyfriend or K-pop girlfriend. No, please don't. No, just don't. I've been there for a year and I went on quite some dates. There were few people that I was interested in and they were interested in me. But after like 2 to 3 months of getting to know each other, we decided that we're not really a couple material. There were just some things that we just wouldn't get along long term. They were either younger than me, different stages in life, or they were older than me, or I'm not Korean enough, even though, foreigner, like, or they just decided that they have to focus more on work, or that actually they want to experiment more. So, yeah, dating in Korea, meh. Also, your only options really are dating apps, because it's quite difficult to meet someone in real life. But I think it's a case everywhere right now. Like, if you just want to go and meet someone in like everyday settings, I think it's difficult, because even if like I see someone that I like, and maybe if someone sees me, I'm like, oh, she's cute, she's pretty, I don't think people just approach each other these days. And I don't do it either. Like, I would be just like, oh my god, he's so handsome, that's it. Like, I would literally like turn around embarrassed of like, I'm never gonna talk to this man. So, which is sad, because I wish I could just approach him like, hey, you look cool, wanna grab coffee together? Yeah, I did had some people approach me in Korea and ask for my number, which turned out to be quite awkward. So I don't know. Let's just say I met some very cool people. I have some good friends after the dates. Not really a romantic spark, more of like, okay, we vibing, we friends. I had some people that I would be like, oh my god, he's a dream guy. And then it would just end with ghosting. They ghosters. Oh my god, this is one thing I do have to say. I don't know about girls, because I met only with guys, but they love ghosting. They're not gonna tell you like, you know what, it's not working out, let's just separate our ways. They would just ghost. And that's it. That's it. They just don't want to talk with you anymore, so they don't talk. And you will never hear from them, ever. Until one day, they will call you like, hey, are you in Hyundai? I'm like, no, who's that? So, yeah, just stay safe, please. If you're planning to go to Korea and find your K-pop oppa or nuna, just be careful, because, yeah, a lot of players, you can be lucky, you can find your prince, but you can find your prince anywhere really and everywhere. So just don't think that all of the guys are like K-dramas or the girls are like K-dramas, because yeah, no. And actually, I think that was it for the questions. I answered them all, I think, because it might be that I start editing and you'll be like, oh shoot, actually I forgot. But hopefully this is the last one, because I'm forgetting things and I'm like, okay, whatever. Yeah, if you do have any more questions after that, please write down them below and I will try to answer them either in another video or in the comments. Depend on your questions, I guess. If there is a lot of other questions, I might do another video. If not, I will just reply in the comments. And yeah, thank you for tuning in. And if you have anything that you're curious about, let me know. Thanks.